What is up YouTube, it's your boy SmackNPie here, and we are back for the freaking Frog of the Lincoln Luck after so long, Teaser 01 full analysis. We're gonna cover as much as we possibly can, but without wasting any more time boys, let us unpack everything we've got from the Teaser 01.
Daddy. Why are you here?
Okay, so the first few seconds are exactly the first Teaser 01's teaser that we got a couple of days ago, where Doug Hauser was in this whatever place this is. We're gonna come to it in just a second. Again, whatever I say is just metaphorical. In terms of literal things such as the location, such as the levels, such as the monsters. But you'll understand why I'm saying this in just a second. But Doug Hauser here with this tablet, right? In this place, wherever it is, and he hears two voices. I've said in the Teaser 01's teaser video that I heard two voices. And my three theories were Darkstar, Clarissa Elise Hauser, and Tammy Hauser. And it confirmed to be Clarissa Elise Hauser and Tammy Hauser. But notice how they're not in their normal, usual 3D models, the ones that we got for both Clarissa Elise Hauser and Tammy Hauser. But they're also not the quote-unquote evil version, the red version that we saw Tammy Hauser's in Chapter 4. Neither the one that we saw from one of the teasers for Tammy Hauser, so this is in between. So this to me is interesting. I'll explain more to this in a little bit.
Why are you here?
I want to make up for what I did.
I love this Silent Hill-esque kind of James kind of thing. They literally point blank ask him, why are you here? And when they say here, they don't mean this exact location, but this dark realm. Why is he here? Why is he doing this? Why is he going through all these nightmares and portals? And he responds, I want to make up for what I did. Now at first, I didn't like that they added this line in. They could have done something subtle. I think Dark Deception works well when it's more about show, don't tell. But then again, this is just a cinematic teaser. The line of dialogues that we hear in this teaser probably might have nothing to do with what we actually listen and what we actually get. What we actually get might have something to do with the lines that we're getting here, but these might not be the line of dialogues that we hear in Chapter 5. But what they say afterwards is far more interesting.
No, that's not it.
The end has come, and you need to feel loved.
By someone. Anyone.
Even us.
The ones that you could control.
Okay, so there are multiple layers and deep meaning as to what just happened here. At first, I didn't realize, but you can actually see some bubbles forming around, making us think that this is some sort of underwater, sunken, deep place. If y'all ever seen the Evil Within, something exactly similar happened in Evil Within 2 as well, when our main character Sebastian, it's fairly early in the beginning of the game when he gets this flashback of his daughter. He was also in a sunken place like this. It just reminded me of that, that's why I was mentioning it. But it is interesting, Clarissa Elise Hauser said, what you said about doing what's right and making up for what you've done and what you did, that's not it. You are lying to yourself. Matter of fact, Tammy Hauser here exposes the psychology of Doug Hauser, and I love that his character is kinda sorta consistent with this. He might have fooled himself, ladies and gentlemen, to believing that what he's done and what he's doing now is all in the name of redemption and forgiveness. That might not be the case, ladies and gentlemen. He might only be doing this to make himself feel better and to push down the guilt so that whatever he goes through here, in theory, somebody looks from outside what Doug is doing and is like, oh wow, he must have loved his family too much to be going through all this. And you know what? I hope that they keep his character consistent and it's not as black and white as, you know, what at first we initially thought. Because initially we thought, okay, he feels the guilt for what he's done, and now he's going through all this, and at the end, he's gonna sacrifice himself for his family, and that's just gonna be his redemption arc. I hope not. I think his character is gonna stay consistent just like James from Silent Hill 2, and I think he's gonna make himself believe that this is for redemption, but actually it's to make himself feel, because I'm doing this now, whatever I did, okay, this can kind of sort of cover it. You feel what I'm trying to say here, right? Clarissa Elise Hauser and Tammy Hauser said, Because you know your time is coming. You know the end is coming. Because in real world, we've seen him in coma, right? So even in the real world, this is metaphorical. Even in the real world, his time is near. His end is coming. And even in the dark realm, his end is also coming because Malak and his demons are closing in on him, right? And he knows that. He knows that. And Tammy and Clarissa called him out on his BS that you think what you're doing is for the good and the right, but you're only doing this for your own selfish reasons. But you're blind to it. You only want to feel loved. And I am telling you right here, right now, that in one of these endings, he's gonna get quote-unquote his family who will love him, both wife and daughter, but that's not gonna be the real ones. That's just my theory out there. The other thing that these hands are, all over him, I think it's a hint towards Darkstar levels, zombies, and corpses. The reason I say this is because at the end of this teaser we actually see that this is after Puppet King level. This is after the mannequins level, but we're gonna come back to it in just a second. And I also think it's metaphorical how everything is closing in on him, all the monsters and the demons are closing in on him. And then we finally see the Malak and all his eyes. I think this right here is the biggest giveaway of where he is at. I think psychologically Malak has done such an irreparable damage. At a point, I mean, it's still repairable, but not really, that Malak has now seen it through Doug ridiculously well. And now he's using because he realized, okay, putting him through demons alone, putting him through physical challenges alone is not gonna do him too much, right? Because with Bierce's help, tablet, powers, ring pieces, he might fend off those generals and low-tier demons. But if I do an all-out psychological assault that is waiting for this guy right here in Fear Fortress, I think that's what Malak saw in Doug Hauser, that psychological warfare is what I'm gonna do to him. So he's gonna try to break him down slowly in level 9, level 10, maybe in Wicked Ways, and then in Fear Fortress is gonna launch an all-out assault, psychological assault that will break him down completely, mentally, psychologically, and physically. It's a different story altogether. And it's also another metaphor for Malak seeing through him, all the eyes and whatnot. The way I see that laugh is that Malak is like, I got you now. But these next few seconds, bro, probably my favorite of the teaser is look at the position Bierce is in. What happened after Puppet King level? I think, ladies and gentlemen, that Puppet King level might have either went so well that both Bierce and Doug Hauser might have become too confident in their abilities to fend off Malak's attacks. And maybe physically it was challenging. Maybe it was violent, right? We know it's gonna be a violent level, the Mannequins one. But I think something is gonna happen at the end of Mannequins level, which is why we've seen that. And I look at the position of Doug Hauser, and look at the concerned look of Bierce. I love this look. I've talked about this in the reaction video as well, but I think seeing her emotions like this, I think Bierce and Doug are two sides of the same coin. Both are acting out these emotions, believing in quote-unquote doing good, redemption arcs and whatnot, but it's for their own selfish reasons. You could argue as a viewer that, hey, even those selfish reasons, doing something good to make up for something bad that you did in the past, it's still good. It's still a redemption arc. Feeling guilt, pushing it down, hoping to feel loved, that's not wrong. You could argue that. But this is dark deception we're talking about. Things are not going to be black and white in this world. But what do I know? And the final one, we see they've officially completed the Puppet King level and it's now time for Darkstar. Doug Hauser is finally locked in. I think that locked in look, and I haven't talked about the music, but the locked in look I think shows him that, okay, this is how it's gonna be. As I'm getting closer to it, I'm finally gonna have to embrace what I've done was wrong, and I'm gonna have to embrace the kind of person who I am, and maybe use that to his advantage at the end of this game. And I think Bierce might know that. after this level, she might be like, you know what, Doug is going through some character development and he might realize what he needs to do in order to set everything right. And I think that might be a problem not just for Malak, but also for Bierce. Guys, I am so locked in for this lore. One thing I will say, that I love the new glow that the whole teaser had, especially the Dark Deception logo. It gives such a professional look to it, and there were multiple soundtracks that I recognize. It's a remix of multiple soundtracks. We can hear some Malak's main theme in there here somewhere. There's a little bit change in the ballroom tune as well, so there's a lot going on over there as well. So between the flashback that we're possibly gonna get, between the new extra juicy lore that is gonna be added in the Dark Deception Enhanced Plus, and between the Malak psychological warfare against both Doug and Bierce, I think it's gonna be such an epic showdown. But I am predicting right now that there's gonna be a three-way showdown between Bierce, Malak, and Doug Hauser. And I think the canon ending is not gonna be a happy ending. It should not be a happy ending. This is Dark Deception World. For things to be done right, he needs to set things in motion that not only mess up his own plans for a reunion with his family, a happy reunion, quote unquote, but I think he would be more concerned about the forgiveness and whatnot. Now this just contradicts what I said at the beginning of this video about him not really longing for that, and more so just about the feeling of somebody telling him, hey, you know you've done something wrong, but you know you've done something right as well. So that kind of equalizes it. But I think towards the end of this, he's gonna realize what is actually going on. And I think that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're heading towards. If you didn't get any of what I just said, don't worry. There'll be more videos explaining this in simpler details. I'm just hype, as you can tell. Susu for more. 100k. The way things stand at the moment, guys, I don't think Chapter 5 is dropping in 2025. I'm still optimistic, but realistically speaking, I think it might get pushed to 2026. I'm still hopeful. But for that, Super Dark Sim needs to drop this month, and Enhanced Plus needs to drop next month. In between, Teaser 2 needs to drop as soon as possible after Enhanced Plus, like in August. Then we have September, October, November, December. We would have 4 months, even 3 months of gameplay trailer and Chapter 5 release. But that is for a separate video. Wow, I'm exhausted. It's time for me to edit. I'll see you in the next one.